How's it
Oh,
going, Sha?
hooray. I'm tired.
Yeah, why's that, Sha?
I don't know. Um, a friend had a housewarming gathering that I went to over the weekend,
Okay,
and I am still trying to recover.
okay.
Um, Now I didn't drink, and I didn't really eat anything, but I did have a few conversations with people, and I am wiped out.
That's too much.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Hey, I mean, yeah, you gotta know your limits.
Yeah,
Sometimes those the talking it'll get to you.
it really will. It really will.
Yeah,
And I thought I could do it. I
nah,
thought I could have conversations.
I think people assume we're always in the mood to talk because of
Right.
what we do. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh man, yeah. I try to explain to people. I was like, I don't think y'all understand. Like, I picked one of the few jobs where I'm the only one that can talk. And even that
Exactly.
is still like limited. Like at most, I'm doing that for an hour. Like even now, I don't want to do that long. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So it just really, I'm plumb tuckered. I just, it was too much. Um, it was too much talk, and it wasn't like necessarily a lot of talking, but I did what I could to circulate, and then I went ahead and sat on the couch,
Okay.
which is what I want to do at parties. I just want to sit on the couch in one spot, a nice spot where I can see everything and not have my back to the door. And
Very
um,
mafia of you.
yes, very much so. I'm just looking for the Frank Sinatra seat. And I'm watching people come in and out. Hey, how you doing? But then people would sit down next to me and want to talk, and we're all talking. I had no problem with the conversations. Fine with the conversations,
Okay.
carrying on conversations. But then I got home and sat still for a second, and I was like, oh boy, that took a lot out of me.
Do you think it's in general conversations do that, or is it like lack of practice? Like we've been out the game a little bit. Parties and a lot of short contact conversations. That's like like me telling you tomorrow, yo, we gonna run sprints. We gonna
Right.
like just out of nowhere, we gonna do some high intensity interval training. You
I
know?
want I want to say it's because I'm out of practice. That's what I want to say. But if I'm being honest with myself, which is something I'm working on,
Okay.
nah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's probably me. I mean, there are people who I can talk to for hours,
Right.
no problem. Um, and they all could have been the people I had short conversations with at this housewarming gathering. Also, this was like the second week in a row, I think, of me going to a place where there were people and you had conversations.
Yeah.
So it really did. I mean, like, I know we're supposed to be back out there, but did we really take everything into effect? Like, did we into account? I mean, did we take everything into account? Like, are we sure that we couldn't, like, that couldn't have been done in waves? I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this first big wave.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this first big wave of just like, so how do you feel? Because it was already mostly comedians, so they're going to overshare anyway.
That's not your cup of
So
tea.
yeah, well, no, no overshare. I love hearing your business. I love mess, but I don't want to be in it.
Okay. Okay.
But I'll hear about your mess. Absolutely, I'll help you get to the bottom of the mess. But it's just it's just a lot. You're going to share too much. I may accidentally share too much.
Mm.
You think you're making a joke, but really you're talking about something very you've um, accidentally shown everyone a very personal side of you in what you thought was a one-liner. Have you ever done that? You
All the
think
time.
everybody's sitting around talking, making jokes, and then one person says a thing, and it's supposed to be a joke, but it's also like, hey, did you mean to let us see that about you?
Yeah, I think the nature of podcasting makes me do that more often than I want to. Ironically, not even always on our show. Usually when we're like on an interview,
Right.
I definitely say like, oh yeah, I probably should have like kept that in the bag.
Right.
But it happens,
Yeah.
it's out there. I feel like I don't have a lot of shame, so I'm okay. Like that's my logic. I was like, it's not a lot that I'm like, yeah, like if people find that out, like it's over for me. So that helps me feel okay about it. Like if I say something, it's something I would have preferred to keep,
Right.
but it's not necessarily something that like I'm scared if someone finds that out. Whereas I feel like there's some things I've heard from other comics where like I don't know if you should ever share that ever
Right.
again.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I'm not chock full of shame, not at all. But I got it in my extremities.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
it's there.
I got some shame, but I
You're
feel like
human,
anything that I say, even if I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. I was like, it's not going to cost me a job. You
right?
know what I mean? Like my family will never. It's not like they'll never speak to me again if that got out into the world, if I spoke it. So it's not that, but it's just I still am like, I wish I hadn't have said it. But there's just so much there. You don't. Sometimes you just cross the line and you don't mean to. So really, the beating up on myself is the because I shouldn't have said anything. Why didn't I just keep my ass at home? Here I am oversharing. I could have just been in bed, like all kinds of.
My sofa keeps all my secrets. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-mm.
My bedspread, their secrets are in my bedspread until I wash it. And then they're just gone in the laundromat where the heat kills it. You dry it on high to kill the secrets.
Yo,
I dry everything on high and let the heat kill the secrets.
yo, that is a setting right there. That's the setting I'm looking for in my laundry machine. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's where I am. And then at some point this weekend, well, I know how I got to part of it, but when I know how I got to the different parts of this moment, but when I was in the moment, I was like, this is odd. My sister is in a dance company,
Okay.
and they had a virtual dance concert over the weekend. So you could watch, you sign up, you watch via a YouTube link, and they'd put together a really nice package of performances that they had done and recorded themselves doing in different places. And some musical numbers and things like that. A little over an hour.
Okay.
And it was great. So, I watched that when it came on in the afternoon. It was fantastic. And it's like a dance company. It's like modern dance. So one of the pieces that they dance to, probably my favorite piece of theirs, is uses some of the same music in a very famous Alvin Ailey piece.
Okay.
Where the whole piece is called Revelations, but it's in the first section of that dance, because that Alvin Ailey Revelations dance is like 35 minutes long. So it's not that. But there's a little song in the beginning that starts it out. It's a Negro spiritual.
Okay.
And so I watched them. I watched a little concert, and then I was like, well, you know what? I haven't actually watched that Alvin Ailey piece in a while. I'll watch that. And then also I cooked over the weekend because last week I went to the grocery store to pick up a few things and came home with a lot of like fish and chicken raw. Like I had to cook it. And I don't know why I did that. And so I had to cook. I had to cook some stuff over the weekend.
Yo, supermarkets be making you believe in yourself. I don't know how they
really
do
that. I walked out of there. I walked in to get like English muffins, and I walked out with thinly sliced chicken breast that I guess I'm going to make a chicken sandwich out of, tuna steak, and 2 pounds of shrimp.
Go ahead, shot.
Who is that?
Yo, real talk. Low key, anybody going on a job interview should go to the supermarket first. Like the person that comes out, yo, that dude is next level. Like,
It's like a boost of confidence.
I'm telling you, you walk out the supermarket, you're like, yeah, you know what? I am eating spinach this week. Why not? You know, like you just feel it. Like everything you dream about being, you could be in there. You know, with just clipping out some coupons. You know, like you
You know
feel it.
what? Maybe that's why I love going to the supermarket so much. I just like walking up aisle after aisle, and just going. I could. You know what else I walked out with? Box mix for those Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Oh, okay.
The mix for it, which meant I also had to buy the cheese to go in it, and make sure that I had enough butter. Who is that? I'm not 100% sure I have a baking sheet, but I bought the biscuit. I've never made those in my life. And I just unpacked them. My roommate's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, my dreams. I don't know."
Yeah, I love that hustle too, just because like normally you cook at home to save money, but like I feel like
Yes.
that's definitely gonna cost you more than just gonna go and buy the
Yeah.
Cheddar Bay
I
biscuits.
for sure spent more money than I planned. But, I finished the tuna steak. My rule is if I'm buying something raw, I need to cook it that night or the next night, or else
Right.
it ain't getting cooked. So, or I better put it in the freezer immediately. I put the chicken and the shrimp in the freezer immediately. But then over the weekend, took the shrimp out. I cooked it. I made shrimp and grits.
Okay.
So turned out great, better than I had expected. I sliced up like turkey sausage to cook in there with the shrimp. Doing a lot. So at some point, I think it was no, it wasn't after the gathering. It was after something else where I had to go out and come back, probably a comedy show or something. And I came back and it was like 1 a.m. and I'm watching Alvin Ailey dancers dance to Negro spirituals, and I'm eating shrimp and grits. And
Okay.
I'm like, what's happening right now? What's going on?
I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, peak black every now and then,
Yo, it was the blackest I'd been in a while.
You gotta lean into it sometimes, remind
Like
yourself. I got
true, like the blackest and the most southern I had been in a while.
that. That's awesome.
So yeah, and then after that, I had to go talk to people, and then so now I think I'm emotionally spent, I'm physically exhausted. I don't even know why. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure, Mercury just went into retrograde, so I'm just trying to be very careful. Everybody, be careful out there. Maybe that has something to do with it. I really don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Word of caution is out. I love it. Let's get into the news.
Yes, let's.
Supreme Court won't review the $2 billion verdict against Johnson & Johnson in their talcum powder case. That's right. Supreme Court said on Tuesday that it won't review the lower court opinion that awarded a $2 billion verdict in a case brought by a group of women who sued Johnson & Johnson after developing ovarian cancer, which they say stemmed from exposure to asbestos in the company's talcum powder. There have been tens of thousands of lawsuits brought against Johnson & Johnson over talcum powder companies. J&J had sold the talcum-based powder, Johnson's baby powder, for more than 100 years and created several other products using the talc. The talc is among one of the softest minerals that can reduce friction and has a great ability to absorb oils. I love this right here. This is the American system working for the people. I'm also kind of like blown away by the fact that like Johnson & Johnson still felt like, nah, run that back.
Yeah, I
know. Like, yo, that's so wild to me, dude. Like,
I was like, wow, that's kind of ballsy, J&J.
Like we just getting over your whole like blood clot causing.
Yeah, y'all are not really proving yourselves to be 100% on the money. So like maybe
just eat this one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to eat it. It's a big meal, but you're gonna have to eat it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, like I don't know how much they make. I just know that $2 billion over the last 100 years sound like a little number if you split it up over how long they've been selling this talc. So I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
you can eat that one. Like it's a shitty loss, but you deal with it.
Here's what I'm looking at this thing. Here's what's wild. What Johnson and Johnson had asked was like, they asked the Supreme Court to just throw the whole thing out. Just throw the whole thing out.
And other judge, he wasn't a real judge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's take it to the big dogs.
Yeah, just review. Just hey, look that over again. They just throw the whole thing out. No, all of it. All those women. Y'all know you had asbestos all mixed up in the. Come on.
My goodness, yo. I mean, props to them for having balls, man. Like I give them that, man. But it's just wild. Again, man, I really, really aspire to have, the confidence to these companies. Like, this is amazing.
Should they have used? Is there any talcum and gold bond powder? I guess not.
Yeah, I feel like we would have had that lawsuit.
Yeah, I guess there must not be any because guys love Gold Bond.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess I understand what you're using it for, but I'm not really a powder person.
Yeah, I'm not a powder guy either. I never.
Yeah, but I've had male roommates a few times, and just walking into the bathroom and finding a barrel of Gold Bond powder. I'm just like, what? Where are y'all putting this? I didn't know they sold them in like bottles so big.
I was trying, but like I never liked the whole idea of it because like one was the mess. To your point, like
yes,
it's whatever mess I'm trying to prevent in my drawers is now on the floor. Like that's I'd rather just do laundry twice a day. Like switch out my underwear midday, then sweep up this talcum powder that's now in my bathroom. It's in the crevices. I ain't trying to deal with that. Two, admittedly, very, very aspirational. But as a teenager and college student, I kept thinking of talcum powder is going to slow down the pickup to head transition if I, get that far at the bar.
Sure.
So... admittedly, very aspirational. It's probably came up like 1% of the time. It shouldn't have even been calculated into it, but it was
but you never know where the night will take you, and you need to be prepared no matter what. Saying.
So
that's a very good point.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to I'm gonna close the deal. I'm gonna bring Shorty home. I gotta be like, and she gonna choke on my nuts before. Like the fun starts just because of like the tape, what is all that's terrible. That's not fair to her,
No, yeah, nobody wants to get ovarian cancer through the mouth. That's a long way to go.
Yeah, that's horrendous. It's really not right, And then imagine that's the memory somebody got of you, like, oh yeah, that gave me cancer. Psst, I don't even want to get into it, honey. So yeah, to all the young ladies I picked up around Baruch campus in the early 2000s, that was my logic, But yeah, I always just carried extra boxers, and I just switched. That was my logic. I was like, I'd rather do double laundry than that. I still keep the freshness.
I think I prefer to do that as well. It's just have a two panty day or 3 panty day, depending on how humid it is. Yeah,
it made more sense to me.
Do that.
Look at that. Put the talcum business out of commission. We don't need this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got enough problems down there. Why do I need to add asbestos to it? Nothing's catching on fire.
And like, also like low key, I always felt like it was like, I don't know how it would have came up, but I felt like I was gonna get caught in a crime, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, we saw your ball fingerprints." Like all over the scene, and I don't know how it came up, but I saw too many Law and Orders at that point in my life. I was just like, yo, now we saw your ball imprint on that futon.
We could trace it to you. That's just what you want, is just like Briscoe and Green looking over someone's like shoulder, going, wait, zoom in right there. Nope, that's definitely our guy. That's our guy, McCoy. Go get him.
I always assume that, like, I don't. I'm sure there's no study on this, but I feel like the ball has a similar level of like difference as the thumb fingerprint, right? Like, it doesn't come up in as many cases, so they don't track that no more. You know, but I'm sure. I'm sure.
Where are they even keeping that information on file? Where are you dipping your nuts on an ink pad and then rolling them across a piece of?
I don't know how jail works, Shot. Okay,
I know how fingerprinting works. Oh my God. Oh man. I hope that is the case. I really hope that's the case.
Hey, getting that information, you know, that's how you don't get away with stuff. I'm scared of jail, as you can see. My imagination runs wild about the whole idea.
No, I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, everybody's an individual. If you've got your own fingerprint, why wouldn't you also have your own ball print?
I'm telling you, it made perfect sense to me. Like, there's way too much detail in this, you know. You gotta be able to tell it apart. You could probably see family lineage. You know,
I mean, you probably can see lineage. I will say that. But if I'm not mistaken, again, I don't have a set. It's been a minute since I've had to be near one, but I thought you'd still be able to manipulate, move skin, and make your own design. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but I think that would only change the scale, right? Like the crevice would still be. Like, I don't know. It depends, right? Like, I feel like the crevice would still be real.
If you like tried to smooth out the wrinkle, it would still be imprinted there. Like the wrinkle is there for a reason.
That's what I feel like.
Okay. Any scientists out there who could help us, please contact us.
Like,
no photos, but just words. With words,
clarify.
Let us know if we are anywhere near the truth.
Listen. This is how you know I'm a good parent, by the way, because I've yet to check my son for this, even though my curiosity has definitely been there. I've constantly wanted to be like, hey, yo, are your balls like my balls, little man? You know?
Not yet. No,
but I can't do that.
I'm sure they're not.
No, but, you know,
sure they're not.
One day I'm going to ask him when he's older, hey, yo, I can't, you know, but, like, describe them to me. Like, what's your map look like? You know? Where does your map of crevices go? You know, and maybe we could figure it out.
See, now when the authorities come knocking, this is going to be the kind of conversation that we probably should have rethought.
Maybe.
Again, I don't think it's going to keep me from my job.
I was never running for president, Sha. I know that.
Yeah. Really interested. Yeah, there are just more questions to be had, but I do understand what you're saying. Wait, have you even checked with your dad to see if there's a lineage?
I feel like he wouldn't like answer questions like that to me. Like, my dad, he's like just disconnected from like technology, where like he doesn't have that comfort with himself and with his body. You know what I mean? Like, my dad has a computer, but I know he hasn't seen a threesome. Like, he hasn't been on Pornhub. He doesn't understand. And I know he wants to. Like, I've heard him tell his boys when he was drunk, yo, I really would like to see this. But I know he wouldn't tell me, even though I could make it happen for him. I could show him, you know, that Pornhub link, and it would be solved. But if he's not comfortable enough even bringing that simple thing to me, there's no way we could talk ball skin and, you know, get to the bottom.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, that is an awkward conversation to have.
And I get it, you know, it's how he was raised. But, you know, I hope that, you know, I'm open enough with my family and my kids that when my son is in his 20s or 30s and he, you know, notices, hey, these are rather unique crevices, I wonder if my dads are the same. He's comfortable having that conversation with me.
There's no way in hell. I don't care how close y'all are. There is no way in hell your son is going to come up to you and go, "Hey, pops, do our nuts wrinkle the same?" That's not that. No, he's not going to bring that up.
That's how I'm measuring my parenting. If I have that
Yeah,
conversation, I know I've succeeded.
I mean, you've done something.
I got somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know if I wanted to
I
get
don't know
there.
where it is, but you did do something.
What we gonna do? Nike backs Naomi Osaka after she withdraws from the French Open. Major props here to Nike and other major sponsors have come out in support of tennis star Naomi Osaka following her decision to withdraw from the French Open. The sports apparel giant, who signed a sponsorship with Osaka in 2019, applauded the athlete in a statement on Monday after opening up about her struggle with depression. Our thoughts are with Naomi. We support her and recognize her courage in sharing her own mental health experience. Osaka's decision to pull out of the competition came after the tournament, also called Roland Garros, fined her $15,000 for not speaking to the media following her first round match on Sunday. Citing mental health reasons, the four-time major champion announced on Twitter last Wednesday that she would not participate in any news conferences at the tournament. Announcing her subsequent decision to withdraw, she revealed that she has suffered long bouts of depression since winning her first Grand Slam in 2018.
Okay, so all right, like I absolutely get. I'm a little torn. I mean, like she was just like, "Hey, I'm not. Look, I don't want to do the press conferences because I have panic attacks while doing them, and I'm trying to protect my mental
Right.
health." And French Open was just like, I mean, if you don't, you're gonna have to pay the fine. And she was like, "Word." Like, great, I got it, because she's got it.
Right.
And so there's that. And then so she didn't go. She paid the fine, and then they threatened to kick her out. So she was like, "All right, well then I'll just
Yeah.
jet." Um, so that's all extremely admirable and everything, but there is still an old lady part of me that was like, well, I I wonder if maybe you should have just pulled who was the fellow, was it Marchand, who was just like,
Yes.
I'm only here so I don't get
You know it.
fired.
Marshawn Lynch.
I wonder if she should have just maybe pulled one of those, or if that, you know what I mean, like to stay, or if she, I mean, if she's clearly fine with just being like, well then I just won't fucking do it. And to that I say, good for you, because if you're trying to find whatever the work life balance is and they're going to be on you and stressing you a lot, then absolutely, you like, do what you've got to
Yeah.
do. um and it's not going to be the only French Open you do, you know what I
Right.
mean, like she could go back. She could get herself on a regimen and get herself able to deal with it more, because it is a lot, and she is
Yeah.
young, and the sport likes to get you young and wring you out completely, and then just kind of leave you when someone younger comes by. So it's good for her to take care of that. But I also wonder, what if she had just, I'm only here so I won't get fired kind of
Right.
thing. But I wonder if that's different because it's not like a team thing; it's an individual, like tournament
Yeah,
thing.
because it's not like a league, right? Like yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a league rule, but it is an understood rule of the
Right.
tournament. So, so now what happens with the next tournament, right? Does she just pay whatever? She's like, what if I just prepay y'all the fine and I ain't got to talk to
Yeah,
nobody?
that's hard. Yeah, I kind of rock with that. Yeah, hit the money up front, me. Don't bother me.
Yeah, can I just play your game and not do the thing?
I yeah, I'm on her side. I feel like
Right.
I respect that she's choosing to protect her mental health and putting it first. And I extra, kudos for her being willing to share that. She didn't even have to do that. Being frank, she could have just said that
Mhm.
I didn't want to. Her willingness to share that I think was awesome. And, being frank, is an extra challenge because it leads to more questions in the future.
Right.
So like her putting that on herself, I thought was incredibly brave. But I also get it. It is part of the job. Like there's an understanding in almost all sports, and in most cases, it's in the contract. Where if you're
Right.
partaking with this event, you have to put yourself make yourself available for press so that the stories can be ran. So I get that. I know that that's part of the game.
Hmm.
I wish there was like just stuff like this. I feel like there should be dialogue. Like I always feel like too many
Yeah.
people like they respond with ego, like, well, you don't do this or else type shit. Where like this felt
Right.
like a situation where like, all right, she's a young star. We trying to develop a relationship with you for 15 years. Like she in her 20s.
Right.
Like you could have just told her, yo, you know what, this time, don't worry about it. We appreciate you paying the fines. We'll do that as a formality because I also don't want anybody else kind of jumping the ship on us. But after this tournament's over, let's talk out a way that you're comfortable talking to the press for next year. Maybe like it's not in an open forum. Maybe like they email you the questions. Like something where like it's conducive to your health, but we still get answers to these people so they could still write articles about us. Because that's how we get the
Right.
money
Yeah.
to pay for it. We need attention. So like I can't pay you to
Hmm.
play in this event if no one's writing about the event and we're not making money to put in the purse. So
That's true.
you
We
know,
can't we can't keep going on your fines alone,
you know
Naomi.
what
We
I
can't. We appreciate you making all of these donations, but we also kind of need you. But I mean, yeah, so definitely the discussion needs to be had. And in that regard, that's where I also worry a little bit. I mean, because I worry all the time that because the French Open, they've been real bullheaded about a lot of shit about like outfits that Serena has
Mm,
worn. They didn't want her to wear the cat suit that she was wearing. They were like, it wasn't, I don't know, some bullshit. Maybe it wasn't ladylike or it wasn't, I don't know, just some bullshit. And so I it is time for a lot of institutions, quote institutions, end quote, to really kind of move beyond that's how it's always been
right.
done. Um and adapt or die, basically. So, like, what is this going to mean for Wimbledon? Because that's in a month for
Right.
sure. And, like, yeah, I don't know. It just, I hope that conversations do come out of this and that there's an actual change that not only benefits the tournament and Naomi, but also all of the other tennis players. Because, we're just talking about a bunch of loose athletes. There's no real league. There's no real union. You know what I mean? And someone tried to make a union recently. A dude did, but I can't remember what his name was. He was trying to do that like last year or the year before, and that shit didn't necessarily work. But he was going at it in a weird
Mm.
way. I don't remember enough details to speak on it, but I know it just made me cock my head and go, "Well, that seems weird." But anyway, it was just so like more discussion definitely needs to happen. But if she is okay with just being like, I won't play, so you don't have to kick me out, I'll just go ahead and go, and whatever, then more power to her. I just hope that something will come out of this and it won't just be the French Open like organization just being like, see, we set the rules. Y'all can't play if you don't do what, you
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? And be just like real, get the wrong, like get the wrong results
Not
from
dig.
this.
I mean, yo, she's worth
Yeah.
25 M's. So like I don't think anybody's gonna like pressure her. And I
Right. She clearly, I mean, just the fact that she was just like, they were like, pay the fines. And she's like, okay, do I make this out to cash? How do you want me to do this?
yeah, like I thought that was so real. It's like you clear like I don't think they understood her level of seriousness to it. Like, yo, like she
Yeah.
came out of yeah, I'll pay that. Just send that up,
Hmm.
hit a duffel
Yeah.
bag.
That's the thing is I think they need to really take the mental toll that doing these grand slams
Yeah.
can put on these young
She's
players.
legit a kid. I just looked it up. She's 23. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Like she's having incredible success, but it's really early on. So like
Hmm.
that's a lot to deal with. That young. So I can understand that. Being something that you struggle with and you have to learn how to handle. I don't think enough people account for that with sports in general, where like these people train to become really dope at this thing, and then when they go pro, all these other things are demanded of the job that you get no training on. Like I
Right.
always feel bad when like people are like they'll criticize like someone at the draft because they're fumbling their words. I'm like, that kid has been playing basketball after school for 6 hours a day since age like 5. He wasn't practicing interviews,
Right.
and
Right. If there was any sort of media training, it was like 30 to 45 minutes like in a room
yeah, that
somewhere
week.
where they're like, okay, well, just don't say this and don't say that. And I mean, if you could, and the kid's probably like, wait,
Yeah,
what? Why do I need this? Who would ask me that? What happens if, you know what I mean? Like, that's not how the brain has been trained for
yeah,
them. So then to be thrown into these, and that stuff is
right,
forever. Like, you can go back and try to correct as much as you can, but in the moment, especially if you've either won or
right,
lost,
right.
that's just so ugh. I don't want to hear from them right then. I want them to get their shit and go and sit somewhere for a hot second and then come
Yeah,
out.
and listen,
But
I'm okay with hearing from them. Then I'm just also saying, judge them with that in mind. Like, give them that freedom
mhm,
of making mistakes. Like we fumble words all the time, and there's no cameras in front of most of us. Like, hey, we say
mhm.
stupid things on a regular basis by ourselves, with just you and the other person. And so like that added pressure, doing it for the first time without the life experience, that takes a toll on people. So props to her for kind of like taking a stance here on this. I hope the French kind of get their act together on this. They do a really
Yeah.
good job over there with pastries and bread. They gotta expand to this.
Honestly, just the sentence, I hope the French gets their act together, full stop, boom, that's it. That's the end of the sentence. You don't even have to qualify it with what exactly. We don't need any particulars. Just I hope the French get their act together and scene.
I love it. 14 states have enacted 22 new laws making it harder to vote. That's right. State lawmakers have enacted nearly 22 laws since 2020 election that restrict ballot access, according to a new tally by the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University of Law. These 22 laws in 14 states mark a new record for restricted voting laws since 2011, when Brennan recorded 19 such laws in 14 states. Most of the new laws make it harder to vote absentee and by mail after a record number of Americans voted by mail in November. In addition to the new laws, the Brennan Center's latest report identified 61 bills that were advancing through 18 state legislators as of May 14th. Advancing bills included those that have either passed at least one chamber or otherwise made progress at the committee level. Yeah, this is scary though. Like, I'm
Yeah, this is terrifying.
yeah, I genuinely, like, I'm confused by the fact that like there's such a pushback on this when I I understand that there's this feels a very Republican response, a Republican Party response to the fact that
Mhm.
they've lost power, but um so much of what they're fighting against in terms of like the absentee vote and the mail-in vote has been something that's always been in place in most of these states. It's just that we used it the
Right.
most this time. But they have old people too. They have people that are sick too. They have people that need to vote this way. And
It's a myopic view of what voting is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just really like stumps me like that. Like they're struggling to get the fact that like this is gonna affect their party just as much in the long
Yeah,
term.
it's very, cutting off the nose to spite the face. So, I, and also it really just presupposes that at no other time will anyone need to mail in
Yeah.
votes, so make it illegal, and that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild that you think that no one ever, that the only time anyone need, and also they're doing it as if people decided to mail in votes on this last general election because they wanted to and not because there was a pandemic.
Right.
Do you know, like we all, like people just got together and was like, man, I'm just gonna mail in a whole bunch. I ain't got shit to do. I'm just gonna mail in a whole bunch of votes. And it's like, yeah, don't you think people were mailing things in for a reason, possibly because death was in the
Yeah.
air?
It was.
Um, yeah, so that it's wild to me. It's upsetting. It definitely will hurt them as well. I mean, I think a thing that, and apologies to white listeners, but then also not. Um, I think that a lot of people who are fighting for white supremacy don't realize is that in working so hard to keep down people of color, black people, indigenous people, um, you're also like fucking yourselves. You're shooting yourselves in the foot.
Right. How so?
Just you're making these plans. Think of that story where it was like the recent news story where because of the bias, the various biases against black um, creatives in Hollywood, Hollywood was actually losing money
Mm.
because of the money they make when movies made by black people are made and released and
Right.
accepted. But everyone is just so like, well, instead of thinking that's a part of Hollywood, it's like, well, that's an outlier. That was a black film that somehow did well. So that was their one for the year. And we're just going to go back to what we've been doing while that one movie of the year made buku's amount of money. And I'm like, I thought y'all saw money. You know what I mean? Everyone's just like, nah, what the color, it's not a black or white thing, it's a green thing. And I'm like, well, they don't see all the green they're losing by only focusing on the white. Like, it's still, how is that? So there was a study done, and recently it was just like, yeah, no, black, like Hollywood's really missing out on a lot of money by being as biased as it is. So it's the same thing. Like, with government, if this is a mostly Republican Party type of move, I mean, who? Okay, so if the school of thought here is that most black people, brown people are voting for Democrats, um, then and so then I guess mostly white people are voting for Republicans. Okay, do you think they don't get old and infirm?
Right. Like that's what I'm saying. Like they still like had the same issues, like health wise. You know, at some point you're
Yeah.
gonna need to avoid being in public for a health reason, whether it's temporarily or permanently. You know, at some point you're gonna be older and it'll be easier to mail things. Like, why are you making it
Hmm.
harder on you to do the same thing that you need? Um, yeah, and that stumps me. And then like I started thinking like super conspiracy theory because like you know like at some point I feel like we gonna move towards a world where like we vote on an app, and then they gonna be like, nah, the app counts as mail, you know, because it's like, oh, that's an email, you know, that's like the mail, and so nah, you still got to do it in person. Like, I feel like it's going there. Like they gonna like really like push the whole like apps count as email thing, and we said no mail.
Well, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know if it'll be the technology if that's what they'll do. Because you know, if that, who wants that contract? You know what I mean? What company wants that contract? No, sir. No, ma'am. Not at all. But I mean, I think honestly they're going to keep it old school. I think we're going to go back. I think we're already at poll taxes. I think it's going to be back to like
Oh man.
quizzes at the. You know what I mean? Just like having to we'll let you vote, but you must answer these riddles 3, and it's you know, some gobbling at the door of the elementary school that you go into to vote from. It's very upsetting, and I also don't understand why we haven't just pushed through the Voting Rights Act again.
Yeah.
Why that hasn't
Yo,
gone through.
yo, Shao, on the real, it just,
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard like a rumor. I've never heard the stereotype. Yo, black people love mailing shit. Like, 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 wait, why is that being?
Yeah, no, that would be a new one
Right?
for me if that was.
Oh, they just love buying stamps.
Yeah, that's not really a. I mean, yeah, I feel like that's not necessarily one of our big ones or even one of our medium ones. I don't think that's
I'm
one. I think that I think that honestly breaks down into to like an age thing, like a generational thing, right? The more that the older you
right.
get, and the less you're out in the streets, and the less you're out in the streets, the more you just want someone to come up and come by and pick that shit up for you.
That's what I'm saying. So it
So you,
should lean to
yeah,
both parties. So they shouldn't be
right.
restricting it. Both. We all got old people. We all got sick people.
We all got old
Yeah.
people, and they're the ones who vote the
Yeah.
most. So why would you make it harder for the people who consistently vote for little
You know?
things? Why would you make it harder for them to do so? It's infuriating. I can't believe. Why? Because old dude told y'all that if he lost it had to be fraud? Y'all are some suckers. What a bunch of simps. How did you fall for that? Isn't it possible that nobody liked him? None of y'all are on Twitter? Nobody that just by the way that the whole country saying, "Can you feel a brand new day?" when Trump lost, like from the whiz, like that should have told you. That should have been a clue. Like, all right, yeah, I don't think this was fraud. The whole country is doing the electric slide. I don't think that was fraud. I think maybe they
They
wanted
did the
you gone.
wave across 50 states.
Yeah, are you
God damn it.
serious?
Let Loretta, let Irving, let Ethel, let Bernard. What's some other old names?
I
Let
don't even
Cecil,
know
let
anymore.
Virgil.
Cecil. Wait, but what happens when all the old names are like Brittany?
Oh, that's gonna be.
What's that gonna look like in an old folks home full of Britneys and Ambers and Collins? What's an old home full of Trevors look like?
That's the future I'm not gonna be a part of.
Oh no, that's weird. I hope I don't end up in an old folks home and it's just nothing but Chelseas and Connors. That's gonna be so weird. An 85-year-old Chelsea? Come on, that's gonna be
Yeah,
weird.
nah, I hope I don't want to be around for that. That's not my
Yeah,
future.
that's gonna be. Oh.
Truckers are getting big pay hikes, but there's still a shortage in drivers. American truck driving shortage is continuing despite the drivers being paid more now. There's a huge pay hike across most of the field. Currently, the average truck driving job that's being posted is showing a raise of anywhere from 8 to 11%, with some companies going up $4,000 to $6,000 when compared to previous year's jobs. One company actually made a $4,000 and $6,000 raise to the base pay within the same year. The problem is that this isn't leading to new drivers. It's actually leading to turnover, because drivers are just leaving their current company to a higher paying alternative. The average annual rate for drivers is 95% for turnover. Yeah, that would be a problem. Jesus.
That's all of it.
I'm saying?
That's everybody driving a truck once and then being like, "That's not for me."
Jesus Christ. They could have started there.
What kind of turnover? Lord, I thought the Gap had high turnover, but this is ridiculous.
95. Yo, you imagine you HR and you're like, yo, we only had 80% turnover. Yo, you killing it, Josh. Keep it going. Oh, man. Yeah, that's one of the first questions I would ask in interviews, like, what's the long-term growth here? What's the, how long people
Right.
stay at this company. HR looking at you like, I don't know, buddy.
That's a very interesting
Yeah.
question. Anywho, are you interested in the
Yeah, I
position?
remember like in college they did that whole like look to your left, look to your right. One of them ain't gonna make it. Yo, this dude would be like, yo, look at the other 19 people.
Wait, when in college did they do the left and right? One of y'all ain't gonna make it. Like when you first got
Yeah,
there?
they did that shit to me. Orientation. Hey, yo,
What Knox College was
I
this?
went to business school. I went to Baruch in the city. And what was real
Okay.
crazy is like I took a year off and I bumped into my homegirl from high school from the younger class. So we went to orientation together. So it was me, her, and some random dude. And I was like, yo, listen, I waited a year for this. It ain't gonna be me. So I don't know y'all. I don't know you that well. I ain't seen you in a year, but y'all fight it out. Like I said that at the meeting. Shouts to Lucia. Good people though.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, this is like that, but that's wild. I just want to make sure to point out that going to a college where they're like, look to your left, look to your right, one of y'all ain't gonna make it is insane. It's a little cocky of them.
Real,
It's a little insane.
Real. Much respect right
I mean,
there.
it's real, but
oh man, but my peoples made it. Me and Lucia graduated, so that random third dude.
so that random guy just didn't
he ain't make it out, Oh man, yeah. So once again, if you're looking for work, truck drivers they hiring, and if you don't like it, you could quit.
You quit, and they won't be mad.
They're used to it
because they see it coming. Drive 2 trucks, do 2 routes. Drive 2 trucks, and you good.
You make a quick come up, make a couple G's, and go back to your other job. You could do this on vacation,
No, don't do that. I would. Too many people are out on vacation. They'll fuck up the traffic. You don't want to do that. You'll mess up your actual job. Now I'm just trying to show you how to be part of the 95% of turnover. But you'll find a way. You don't need my advice on that. You'll
I believe
find a
in
way.
y'all.
Yeah.
A lot of people are waiting for porta potties, and not just the folks who need to go. Haha, funny line there, seeing that. After more than a year of staying at home and avoiding crowds and other COVID-19 precautions, many Americans are looking forward to a summer of festivals and concerts. That has porta potty suppliers and manufacturers scrambling to make sure that they have enough toilets to go around. Torino Waste Services, a family-owned liquid and solid waste company, they really made that sound pretty. Based out of Portland, Maine, ordered 100 new portable toilets in March to add to its fleet of 1,500 and 2,000 porta potties. The company's hoping they'll be ready to ship by next week. You imagine you losing I can't imagine that that fight at the concert prep meetings, Like you imagine
right.
Like they didn't even talk about porta potties at the Fire Festival documentary. No one that's how crazy that's how low down the totem pole that is a problem. So if that's the thing that's shutting it down this year, yo, listen, we can't have that rock concert, but you can't see Jay-Z. We don't got enough toilets.
Well, I'll tell you this. I read something about a year ago, like last summer, about porta potties and the need for them. And I think for restaurants who are trying to make that pivot to outdoor dining, I think that was it. And they were just like, well, I guess we're going to have to put porta potties out here because we can't have anyone inside, blah, blah, blah. And so then there was just a wild shift of who needed them, who needed the porta potties. And now that the concerts are back up, I guess, the restaurants maybe are just like, nah, but we still need these. I don't know. It's all a real mess.
I didn't eat at any restaurant where I saw the porta potty. That was an instant no for me. Because I was like, I went to one restaurant that had a porta potty and I didn't know it was a porta potty place. They had it hidden. And I went to use the bathroom and they were like, nah, you gotta go to the porta potty. And I was like, where am I gonna clean my hands? And they're like, oh, we got hand sanitizer. I was like, that's not the same thing. I got no problem using that as well. but I like, actually having soap and hot water.
Yeah, especially during a pandemic,
Yeah.
where you needed to wash your hands. I mean, like people do at concerts, people do that. They will go into the porta potty, they'll do whatever, and then you come out and they just have hand sanitizing stations, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess, but if you're that, I mean, if you're already outside to watch bands play and you've been doing nothing but drinking beer, I mean, it's a blessing that you even made it into a porta
Yeah.
potty and that you're not just peeing on yourself as you pass out in the bush. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know, baby steps or something, but yeah, it's definitely not for me. I don't like being outside in festivals anyway. But the last one that I really was at, I drank a lot of water. I went to the porta potty as soon as I got to the festival because they had just opened the gate. So I was like, I'm gonna get a new clean one before everybody else goes in there. And I peed that once, and then I drank a lot of water, and it all just evaporated away, and I didn't pee again for the rest of the time there because it was so hot.
Yeah, I gotta pee. Let me
So
go.
maybe everybody, you should just drink water and be out in the sun and just let it and sweat it out,
That's real.
since there's probably going to be a shortage of porta
Yeah, I gotta
potties.
pee. Let me go run some laps real quick. Sweat this.
Yeah, do that. Just don't drink beer. Drink water, because then it can turn into sweat. I mean, and beer don't do nothing. Beer is urine going in and coming out. Like,
I can't do it. Nah.
but
Anytime I see porta potties, I know I'm not eating. I'm like, all right, just I can make it 6 hours without this food. I'll eat on the way home. I trust this toilet situation. It's not for me. But good luck to concert
yeah,
goers this year. It's gonna be real out there. Uh,
you're not going to any concerts this year? You gonna
I,
go? You gonna?
yeah, I feel like I'm already doing comedy. Like I think that's enough risk. I'm gonna be in enough basements. I already did like a show where like the room was in the basement that I know
Hmm.
oh they were not socially distant enough. So like I know
Okay,
for a fact we weren't socially distant. And like everyone had their masks when they came in, but they also had food. So they were eating. So like if you gonna
right,
get it, that's where we would have gotten it. So like
right,
I'm gonna do that unexpectedly probably once a week. Like I'm gonna just come to a show
sure.
where like, oh, I didn't know this was the dynamic. But it is what it
Hmm.
is. I'm here now. My name's on the bill. I got to do this set and hopefully not die.
Right.
So I can't do concerts on top of that. I feel like if I do a concert, that lineup was crazy. Like
Yeah, yeah,
seriously,
yeah.
like
I don't know. I love going to shows. And before all of this happened, I had had a year of where I was starting to get back into the rhythm of going to shows a
yeah,
lot. I didn't go too often when I was here in New York because shows were, for whatever reason, pricier here. And I was doing a lot of comedy. So I was just like, well, I just won't
right.
go see whomever. But like in 2019, I made a point of just like, no, I'm going to go to shows because I really enjoy it and I have to be a person again. I need to be a person again. So I was getting back into that. And I will absolutely miss concerts. I bought a ticket for a
Okay.
show that's supposed to be in September, and we'll see if I
I
go.
believe in you, Sha.
It was small enough that the amount was small enough that I was just like, I can eat
Right.
that.
If you don't go.
If I'm like, yeah, if I don't go, I'll eat that. That's fine. I'll be okay. But I'm not rushing. Other people, like other groups are bands are starting to kind of announce September dates and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, but I'm not 100% sure. And I know for a fact. I mean, people lie all the time. So anybody just wandering in there with no mask on, just like for the love of the band. Oh, like no, I don't. Mm-mm.
Nah.
Yeah, I
Yo,
can't. I can't
but
do it.
what's your dream concert, Sha?
Oh, we don't have time
Nah.
for that. Oh, what's my dream concert? I don't know. It's hard to say. I used to play a game when I worked at a record store. It was in the 90s. So I used to do a thing of like build your own
Okay.
palooza, where I made everybody build their own version of a Lollapalooza. So who's on your main stage? Who's on your side stage? Who are the artists who are no longer doing it? Either they're dead or they broke up or whatever. who's on that stage. You know what I mean? Like I had people really build out a big concert,
His job
like,
sounds awesome.
just a big festival. Yeah, I mean, I was just wasting time in between like filing albums or whatever. But I don't right now. I'm not really sure what my ideal I've seen some good
Yeah,
ones. I mean, there are so many bands that I love who are great live, and then there's some bands who I love who are not good live, and then there are some bands who don't sound great on in studio, but live they're
yeah,
excellent. You know what I mean? Like there are so many
that's
variables,
real.
but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And also it depends on what kind of music, which bands I'd put together. It's a lot, everybody. It's a lot. What about you? I feel like no matter what you do, it's the whole tour is sponsored by Timbaland, whoever you put
Well,
together.
see, I have a
I
few things, right? Like hip hop
Uh-huh.
wise, like I would there's a lot of stuff I'd like to see happen again or happen like that I enjoy. Like I really like my I have like performers that like are incredible live, regardless of whether you
Mhm.
know the songs. Like I love Keith Murray live. I think he's incredible as a performer.
Sure.
But I enjoyed Meth and Red. I enjoyed The Roots. I think they put on like a genuinely fun show. MOP is a fun show. But what I really like, what I've been dreaming of is never gonna happen. Like I've had this fantasy of a concert where D'Angelo performs and
Mhm.
then Morgan Freeman tells you what D'Angelo said. Cause I don't understand like 2/3 of the words when he sings. Like he's like the sexiest mumbler ever. So,
So you want Morgan
yes, I
Freeman?
want him to say it in the very much understandable tone that I've heard narrate movies for years.
Yeah, but what if it's dirty?
I'm still okay with that.
D'Angelo, from what I've heard, he speaks a lot about being in between your
Yeah.
thighs. He says that in a few songs.
I,
I don't know if I want to hear Morgan Freeman talking about being in, but it hit different. It will hit different coming out of Morgan. You may not even like D'Angelo anymore.
I'm here for that experience, huh? I think that would work. I would want to see that. That's like the like tent I want to go into at South by Southwest one day. Like, hey, yo,
Oh
he's here,
boy.
yo. You ain't gonna believe it. D'Angelo, yeah, but he brought Morgan. It's happening. And
I, I will not allow. I will stop that concert. I guess if we're talking like a hip hop show, my favorites are De La
okay,
Soul, who I feel like I just saw recently on a rooftop somewhere in New York, like maybe in 2019 or something like
okay,
that. De La Soul puts on a good show. Whether or not you know the songs,
yeah, they're awesome live.
they just keep touring and they've got it down to a science, and it's a lot of fun. Um, who else? Well, and this one will never happen again, but I was a big Beastie Boys
Okay,
person, and so I saw them a few times, and they always put on a good show. Um, I saw Most Def. I feel like late 2019 or early 2020, where he was doing like an anniversary thing for Black on Both
okay.
Sides, and I mean, if you can get Most Def to the church on time, he puts on a good show, but definitely allow like an hour,
Yeah,
an hour lead time, because my man don't move
not at all.
quickly.
Not at all.
Not at all. But he put on a good show. He did like a great 7-minute comedy set in between
Go ahead.
songs because he's hilarious. And I was like, he's doing a straight up comedy set right now. But telling some story, you know.
Yeah, I saw him host a Deaf Poetry Jam actually. He was amazing in that.
Hmm.
That was a real good time, but we definitely started late. And
Oh yeah, I'm sure
yeah.
he did. He probably didn't even realize. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. As long as they have a good DJ, you'll be fine. But if you don't have a good DJ and you're waiting on Most Def, I'm so sorry, y'all. In fact, I saw for the Voodoo tour, I saw Most Def open for D'Angelo. Now that I think about it, It was the first time I saw Mos Def. He was great, but they had to start on time. But that honestly, but that's because they were where they were in their career. Now that show wouldn't start till the following day.
Yeah, D'Angelo come on for brunch the next day. I hear you.
Yeah, like wasn't there something I was supposed to do last night? Yeah, and we're still here waiting for you because we're willing to wait. We wait 14 years for an album. We'll wait 36 hours for
That's
a concert. Yeah, absolutely nothing. It's light work.
Wilberforce University cancels student debt for 2020 and 2021 graduates. That's more than $375,000. President of the historically black university made the announcement during the 2021 commencement exercises Saturday, noting the total amount cleared will be more than $375K. As these graduates begin their lives as responsible adults, we are honored to be able to give them a fresh start by relieving their student debt to the university. Students were seen cheering and dancing after Pinkard made the announcement, according to CNN. This initiative does not cover federal loans, bank loans, or any other kind of personal loans taken by the students. It includes fines, fees owed to the university, and tuition balances that were being paid directly to the university by students or their parents. That's that. This is dope. Like, respect to them. Respect to the United Negro College Fund, Jack and Jill Inc., and a few others who are jumping in to help out with this. I'm just blown away that historically black university has been able to figure out what apparently the government can't figure out. They're like, oh yeah, on the side we're gonna solve this issue that's been plaguing our country for the last 30 years. Yeah, we got that, real quick, while
I can't. I mean, look, I did not finish college, so I'm probably so when I'm like, I don't understand why they can't just let it go. It's like, well, Shalewa, you didn't even go. What are you talking about? But yeah, that dollar amount, $375,000, that is that is a lot of money. I mean, if that showed up in my bank account now, I'd be like, I'm done with all of you. Never speak to me again. But in the grand scale, like, it's not that much. Nah. And that's just, I don't know. It just feels like why couldn't the government do it? It comes up with dollar amounts all the time to justify shit.
Right.
It's just wild to me because they're always just like, oh, we were allotting $2 trillion for this, or $3 billion for that, blah blah. But when it comes to student loan, they're just like, I don't know if we can. And I'm like, no one, put your hands on $2 trillion right now. Go into a room, have them stack up $2 trillion and touch it. Can that be done? No, it's just a figment. These are just words. Then fucking let the money. Like, what are we doing? It's so ridiculous.
It's made up numbers. You know what I mean?
Made up numbers. Made up numbers for some bullshit.
Yeah, I always feel bad when I touch on something close to this because I get mad for real.
I get so mad and I don't even have student loan debt.
Hey, I paid through with my parents and with UPS. They covered my tuition, and it was a CUNY, and it's been one of the unexpected blessings of my life. I didn't realize how big of a privilege it was that A, I had the help, and B, that my school was affordable enough that they could do that. My tuition was $5,000 a year. So I was happy that like the job covered that and my parents covered it. But then when I saw my friends like the following year, like, oh yeah, I got to pay, student loans for the next decade, and right. I saw their bill was like legit rent. Like, I owe $1,000 every month for the next 120 months. I'm like, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm rooting for them, it's why like people ask me, yo, G, how you buy a house? I'm like, yeah, because I'm not paying for college. I mean? That's really that's my secret.
That's precisely it.
It's nothing crazy. I'm still paying the same amount. It's just going to the bank for this debt instead of that one. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Just the whole thing of, well, you got to go to college. And they just keep raising the price of college, and they tell you got to go, and then you get out and it's just like, oh yeah, no, all of all of industry is changing. So whatever it was you just studied, probably can't do anything with. Anyway, when are you going to start paying us back? What?
Yeah, I'm really waiting for YouTube to just get a degree. Stop playing games. Just YouTube
Who?
University. I really feel like it should be a thing. I feel like they
Oh
should just
wow.
let you.
Oh, like of all the stuff that you learn on
Yeah, I
YouTube?
feel like every class you could take on YouTube. Anything you want to learn,
Mm.
you can find on YouTube. I feel like they should just
Mhm.
give you a degree. I feel like it has real similar
Mm.
value, especially this past year.
I would be into that. I definitely, if I could build my curriculum and what my degree would be
Yeah,
on, yeah, it definitely, I'd be into that. I'd have a few degrees
telling
by
you,
now.
you can be out here.
Yeah.
We gonna make dreams. I know people at YouTube. I'm gonna reach out. You know,
You're rich.
I don't know if these are the big ideas they want me sending into them, but it's gonna be happening.
This is what
That's
you
what they're
got.
getting. Finally, Ellie Kemper is facing controversy over past involvement with the veiled profit ball. Old photos of actress Ellie Kemper, who rose to fame in roles of The Office and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, resurfaced over Memorial Day weekend and ignited controversy of her involvement with the St. Louis organization that historically celebrated wealthy white elite while excluding black members. The Veiled Profit Organization, which originated in the 1800s as a group of wealthy business owners in St. Louis, still hold an annual debutante event called the Veiled Profit Ball, and in which the daughter of one of the group's members is crowned as the Veiled Prophet, a secret member who wears white robes and a white veil covering her face. And in 1999, an archived article from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch announced that Elizabeth Claire Kemper, 19 at the time, was the 1999 Queen of Love and Beauty at the year's Veiled Profit Ball, while she was a freshman at Princeton University. Yeah.
Yeah. So did someone send you something about this?
Did someone send this in?
Someone sent me when it was starting, when the talk of this was starting on Twitter. Our listener who has submitted things in the past, who I love, at Black Lady
Okay,
Blue,
respect.
right? So she just dropped the tweet that had the archived article in it, and was just like, please take this journey with me. I'm gonna need y'all to comment on this when you record. And I looked at it and I was just like, well, all right, so Ellie Kemper, so what's happening? And then I went back because it was like part of a quote tweet within a quote tweet within a, and so I went back and was just like, oh my
Yeah.
God. So yeah, so yeah, it's what it is, right? There are lots of groups,
Right.
definitely white quote elite end quote, who are just trying to save their bloodlines, and they have they have these organizations. Some call it government, but they have these organizations, and they have these parties, and whichever one whose dad probably kicked in enough money got to be named Queen of the Pigs or whatever it is. And so Ellie Kemper is one of them. And it's been triggering this conversation about uh like, is she racist? And I'm like, who knows if she's racist, but she's probably clueless, because this is probably what everybody in their social circle was
Right.
doing, right? Um so yeah, so there's that, and then there's just like people saying, well, how did you not know that debutante balls existed? Have you never heard of a debutante ball? And it's like, yeah, no, I've heard of debutante balls, and yes, those are also kind of rooted in racism and the same sort of elite type
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, there are debutante balls that have nothing to do with white people. You know what I mean? So there's that. Also, it's just surprising. I think maybe it was linked to the KKK. It was just like a quiet, understood thing. You know what I mean? Like that some members maybe were possibly part of the Klan, but also elite enough to be a part of these organizations, and they're everywhere. And it's surprising that it's her a little bit, but it's not surprising that it's out
Yeah.
there, right? I think is ultimately the thing. And I guess it's surprising that it's her because no one's ever heard anything bad about her or good. She's pretty boring. So no one like I had a friend message me and she was like, I read her memoir and it was the most boring celebrity written book I've ever read. And that's saying something. Because she probably worked with a ghostwriter, because all the celebrities do. And if you can't even tease anything out of I'm like, knowing that she was 19 and in Princeton, it's just like, where's the struggle? When does the struggle come? Like, what about your life made you think I needed to know how you did it? I know how you did it now. You're probably rich.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's whatevs. But it's just like I can't necessarily cancel her because I didn't have her in like enacted. You know what I mean? She wasn't activated for me, so I can't stop her. I'm just like, oh, the chick who's in The Office and on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I already had issues with that show that had nothing to do with her. so that's not gonna. I don't know. Do I think people are being hard on her? I don't know. I mean, also she's just trying to have a Memorial Day weekend, and here comes Twitter with this bitch is a queen of the young Klansmen, and she's like, wait, what? So that's
It's
wild
over.
to try to eat a burger and have that going on in the background. But it is just a wild story, and it's just there are so many, and also it's like, oh, so that's how she was able to become successful, because she has money. So if you have money, you're able to take the kind of chances.
Yeah. Like that's kind of what I got from this. Like I think
Yeah.
that people that come from money have a misconception of what we mean when we say that having money is privilege. Cause she'll probably like in her perspective, she's like, well, I didn't like pay my way through this, or I didn't like leverage those connections in this world. But she also probably like took improv and didn't have to pay rent, for 10
Right.
years. Like there's concerns that she didn't have to worry about while pursuing her art, if we can call it that. So, like I feel like that's kind of like what I got, like that's kind of like what I think is opening up for a lot of people when they read this. They're like, oh shit, like that's kind of what money does. It just lets you work hard and become competent despite you not having anything of merit to say in the art form. Like you could have like a
Right.
very average life and just think this is something fun. And even though you have no pain that justifies actually creating art of that time, you have nothing to say, but you can still get pretty good at the saying it. And 10 years of UCB classes, you get pretty good at doing the whole thing in front of people, even though like we don't need your perspective. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It was wild to see. Like overall, it was wild to just be like, oh snap. I didn't know that she came from money, but sure, why not? I feel like almost every week you hear about some celebrity and you find out who their connections are, and you're just like, oh Jesus Christ, of course. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course they had. Yeah, I guess that's why I know who they are, or whatever. You know what I mean? You just to me, that's what this was. This was this week's. Oh, that's how she got to where she was, but with an added, like, just a soupçon of oh, by the way, It's pretty ugly in the
I'm
background
gonna make
there.
up all mine, just so
But
you know. When I make it, I'm gonna be spreading like rumors that I come from the great family of Bustelo Coffee. You know what I mean? That's how I made it in this game, B. You know, I was breaking into meetings, I was supplying the coffee, and I was like, listen, I need this audition. Otherwise, you're gonna be back to Folgers, you know?
see, I don't even have anything. I don't even have anything to that I could make up as a claim as to why people know who I am. Because one, nobody knows who I am. No one really cares. Two, I started too late, so no one wants to hear from a woman in her 40s. Like, do you know who my family is, bitch? Where is your family? Do you mean like your kids and your husband? Oh, you mean like past family? No one cares about that.
Why?
You were supposed to have your own family. I don't care about your old
Why you
family.
start in your
So,
30s, Gastor? You know what I mean? I got connections. You ain't got. That means that they tried with every other kid before you. You know, you just now breaking into the game. You were the last hope.
yeah, exactly, exactly, and that is when I absolutely. So the only thing I can even claim is a midlife crisis. As to why I'm in my 40s and running the streets doing jokes in basements. Just a midlife. It's a midlife crisis. I didn't get a sports car, and I didn't leave my wife for a younger version. I just started comedy.
Hey, well, if you guys want to continue to witness our midlife crisis, like and subscribe to the show. If you're an Apple listener, please rate the show. 4 stars means that you bought a Harley Davidson for your midlife crisis. 5-star means you went all the way. You got the Ferrari or the Corvette. You know what I mean? You do you out there. If you have any news articles you'd like us to share, like we did this week and every other week, please DM them to us. We'd love to talk about it on the show, on Instagram and Twitter at Silky Jumbo or at Gastor Almonte. With all that said, thank you so much for listening. My name is Gastor Almonte, always with the homie Shalewa Sharpe. Catch y'all next week at the War Report. Peace.